Okay, today we're doing a session on observing young children at play. This is being recorded. You're okay with that, Flynn?
Yeah.
Fantastic. For assessment purposes for my assignment. However, this is the first time I've done an online session, so please be patient with me, Flynn. I have prepared a slideshow, so I'm going to try and share that with you. Oops. And can you see that, Flynn?
Yeah.
Fantastic. We better start at the beginning. Okay, so today's session, as I said, is about observing young children at play. It's part of a demonstration that will be delivered as part of a Certificate 3 in Early Childhood Education and Care course for students studying that. The aim of the session is to teach students of that course to observe young children at play, which is part of the learning when you're working with children, is observing their play, their behaviour, and then planning experiences according to that.
Yep.
My name is Jodie Locke. I've been a kindergarten teacher for 23 years, so I have fairly extensive experience working with children, particularly aged 3 to 5, and I'm currently teaching at 2 rural kindergartens in Inglewood and Wedderburn. Just a bit of housekeeping. Just to keep our focus today, if you could turn your mobile phone, if you have one, to silent, that'd be great. Also during the session, just for your own health and safety, please consider your posture, where you're sitting, your desk, your chair, and lighting. So
Am I all good?
You're all good? Fantastic. We can get rolling. Okay, so as an early childhood student, I know you've already been on placement once. I'm just wondering if you've ever watched children playing and also watched educators who've been sitting around chatting or just sitting around watching and thought to yourself, you know, they're being slack, lazy, they're doing nothing. I know I have. I just wondered if you'd had that experience before.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess in some cases we're probably right to think that, but in lots of cases that's actually not the case. They're not just lazy educators doing nothing. They're actually observing children quite often and sometimes taking notes of those observations or recording them by video, on an iPad, things like that, using technology these days. So early childhood educators need to be keen observers of children. It's part of our core business. So to see what the children know and can do, and then to plan future learning opportunities for the children. I must check in with you, Flynn. You did get a copy of this PowerPoint before the presentation, so you can use that if you need to.
Yes, I printed it out.
Fantastic. So you'll have that for your records as well. Great. Did you also get a copy of the feedback form?
I did.
And there's also a template that we'll be using today in relation to observation. So it has 3 boxes: observation, analysis, and future planning. You've received that and printed that out?
Yep.
Great. Good to go. As I said, we're going to be looking at observing children. By the end of today's session, you'll be able to observe young children at play, hopefully analyse the learning or skills demonstrated, and if we get time, suggest future learning opportunities. But we'll go into that a lot more in future sessions.
Yep.
So I'm going to teach you how to observe children in a play situation by watching a video of children at play. Ideally, it'd be best to do this, live with children, but because it's an online class, we'll be doing it via some video clips. And we're going to use the template that you've got there to record these observations. So this is a typical template that you might use when you're working in a centre. I'll demonstrate how to do this, so we'll both watch the video. I'll show you what I've recorded about that, and then I'll give you a turn at doing that when we've talked a bit about it. Okay? Fantastic. So, things to consider when we're looking at these video clips of children today. First things, what the children are doing, what they're saying, what skills they are using. Think about what they're doing with their bodies. What you think they might be learning when they're doing that. Sometimes that's obvious, sometimes it's not. So language, speech, it might not be language, it might be sounds even. Fine and gross motor skills. So by now you should know what that means. So motor skills is how you use your body. So fine motor skills are often hands generally, writing, cutting, pointing, using your hands in different songs, all sorts of different things. But the basic one is the most probably important one is like handwriting skills. So you need fine motor skills to develop handwriting skills. Gross motor skills refers to things like running, jumping, climbing, bigger muscles. So your arms, your legs, your core strength in your body. Social skills, so that's how they get along with other children. Are they playing next to them, with them, on their own? Things like that. Dispositions, I guess, is like, what do they like to do? What are they okay with? What are they not okay with? And are they showing any knowledge of particular topics or information? There's a lot to take in there. Now, just having a look at the observation sheet. Can you see the 3 boxes? Can you read me out the first box?
Observation, what's happening?
Okay, so first of all, we're just going to look at the clip and make some recordings about what's happening. So for this first one, you don't have to write anything. I just want you to watch. Okay?
Yep.
I might stop and pause as we go to show and talk about it as we go, rather than wait till the end. But then when you do it, we'll watch the whole video.
Right here.
Okay, so I don't think these links are going to work that I tried previously, but what I might try and do is share something different. So I'll stop sharing for a minute and I'll try and share these clips with you. So the first one we're going to do is titled Negotiating in the Outdoor Play Space. So just to give you a bit of a preview, it's a group of boys playing with a ball, and we're going to be focusing on one particular boy. I'll point him out as we go. I want you to think about those. The heading, observation, what's happening, okay? And then the second one, if we analysis, what does this tell us? You can see this one?
Yep.
So I should have said we're going to be focusing on the little boy in red, with the red, the one who's holding the ball at the moment.
Yep.
Okay, we might stop there. Could you hear the audio of that, Flynn?
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, just for a minute, I've made some notes on a document. Now I wouldn't normally type this up. I would just handwrite it. But for the purposes of this, I've typed it so you'll be able to see.
Yep.
Can you see that document there?
No, I can.
Can you? I'll probably make it a bit bigger for you. Okay. So here's what I've said about the boys playing there today. There was so straight away what you're seeing. So you don't need to write this because you're going to have a turn at the next video. Okay. So this is just an example for you to follow. So there was a ball game with a small group of boys. So
Yep.
I think his name was Will, or I've given him the name Will. Leads the game, instructing his friends on what to do. So he was the leader at the start. He said, "Get, set, go." He threw the ball. I noted that he threw it right-handed, so that's the RH, just shorthand for right-handed. And he asked, "Can you throw it? Can you throw it to me later on?" When he wanted it back, he was trying to get it back off his friend. He could catch the ball and he could run quite fast with the ball, I would say. That's some of what I saw. Probably not every little detail, just some dot points. That's fine. Okay, so I've written 5 dot points there.
Yep.
So in my analysis, what does this tell me? I guess this is where I'm interpreting that behaviour and I'm giving some learning context to it. So in terms of who he was playing with, he was playing in a small group. So that means socially he was doing cooperative play with other children, or attempting to, even though it wasn't going his way all the time. He was playing a small group game with rules. He was trying to, impose his rules on the game. He was the leader in the play initially. He was trying to gain control, so he took a leadership role. His gross motor skills, so he could catch and throw the ball. He had trouble catching it at one stage, but he was attempting to and did the second time. And he was able to run with speed and control. Very good control running around those swings without hitting them. Right-hand dominant. Now, I don't know if that's the case in everything he does, but certainly he showed right-handedness when he was throwing. And in communication, I'm not sure if you heard that in the video, but he could use complete sentences when he spoke. He used body language when he wasn't happy. He made a grumpy face at his friends. He was able to ask questions. Can you throw it to me? He was able to use instructional language, so telling them, to do this, get ready, get set, go. And he could express his emotions. So when he wasn't happy, he could, express that with body language. And I'm guessing he could maybe do that verbally as well, but we didn't see that. So we like to focus on those. The where to next, I'll go over it quickly, but these are some of the things that I've suggested we could do in the future for him. We could provide more opportunities for turn taking, because obviously those boys need to learn to take turns. Some more small group games with rules, like we could introduce him to doggy, who's got the bow, what's the time, Mr. Wolf, things like that. Ball games, they like ball games, obviously. Poison ball, shooting for goals, and maybe some beanbag games, because there's not a lot of room in their space for a lot of ball games. Yeah, so they're just some ideas that I've put down there for possibly that I could, as a teacher, I could work on into the future. So does that make sense? Particularly the first 2 boxes, I guess, is what I really want to focus on.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
All right. So your turn. So what we're going to do this time is watch another clip. And I want you to use your template and just jot down some points. And just maybe let's just do the first box. What's happening in the clip. And we're going to be focusing on a little boy in this one who's wearing a black jumper. For this clip, I'll just show you. For this clip, this person is playing in the sand pit, if I've got the right one, and I haven't. Let me I'm not sure how to minimize that.
Right down the bottom corner.
Thank you. No. Sorry, I'll just stop it for a minute and find my spot. Okay, I'll try again. Um, okay, so this one, can you see that, Flynn?
Yep.
Sandpit play, this one's called.
Yep.
So get your pen ready. Just a few dot points would be really great.
Are you filling up the pipe there, Amelia?
Are you right, Flynn?
Does this child have a name?
I don't know his name, so let's call him Calvin.
Calvin.
Calvin, let's call him Calvin for, I'm not sure what his name is. Really good point to make. Really important to put the child's name and the date. Always date your observations.
Yeah, I got the date.
Whereabouts are you carrying it to, Jaden? You're gonna look for it over here. You fill that up really well, Jaden. Ah, you're gonna put it into the cubicle holders, are you? Hmm. I can see a little spoon here, a scooper. Has Mim finished with it for now, Zia? We might use that one for now. Would you like to use this one, Jaden? No? The small one? Would you like to ask Zia to use the small one? Anything. I think Jaden's thinking about using a small spoon because he wants to do small scoops into his little plate here. Yeah, whereabouts did this one, Zia? Okay. Jaden, would you like to have a look for another small spoon? Okay. Ah, great idea, Amelia. Well spotted. Ah, that works quite well.
Okay, Flynn, how did you go? Did you get a few dot points?
I did get a few dot points.
All right, let's stop sharing and we'll have a bit of a chat about this. Okay, so for what's happening, is that the only box you filled in?
Yeah, the observation one.
Yeah. So do you want to share what you've written?
Like he joined in and helping fill the pipe up with sand, like
Mhm.
so teamwork and helping others.
Yeah, good one.
He had very good jumping skills, jumping off the wood each time to get the sand.
Absolutely. And he bent his knees. I commented that he bent his knees when he did it. That was like quite.
Yeah, like he really had a proper technique and did it quite well.
Yep, absolutely.
And the other one was, I don't know if I couldn't just see in the video, but he was very quiet. I don't know if, yeah, I just realized.
He was. I think he said something at the start, but I was unsure. I think when the other boy with the red top maybe took the bucket, I think he was a bit annoyed with that, but I'm not sure what he said. Yeah. The other thing I'd always say with the observation, I usually start by saying where it is. So
Yeah.
I would put outside in the sandpit as the first couple of points, so we know what we're talking about. And the other thing with the jumping, he was able to climb up onto that platform relatively easily.
Yeah.
And so I said climbing up to the platform. And I don't know if you noticed, he was holding something in both hands. So he had a spoon in one hand.
Yeah.
I think it was a small spoon in his right hand, and he had a shovel in his left hand. And when he dug with the shovel. So did you notice that?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the other things I've commented. All right, so going to the next box now. If we're going to analyse that or we're going to interpret it, what does it tell us? So what does it tell us about his skills? We've just said what we've seen. So in terms of the jumping and the climbing, what does that tell us about his gross motor skills?
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
He has good balance.
So he has well-developed gross motor skills in climbing and jumping. So you could write that down in the next box, in the analysis box. We didn't learn much about his language skills. As you said, he was fairly quiet, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the way he was playing, like there was a small group, there was a group of children there. Was he cooperating with them or was he doing his own thing?
He was cooperating with one of them, but he didn't really interact with them.
No. So would you say it's cooperative group play or not?
No.
Yeah. So it wasn't on his own, like with no one else around him. He was next to other children. So we call it parallel play when he's next to other children.
Yep.
So I've written down for my analysis that he was doing parallel play. That's a type of social skill. His social skills, there's usually, on their own, which is solitary, parallel, and then cooperative. So he was doing parallel play. The other thing I said that he was quite persistent. You know, he kept going, even though the other kid took his bucket, he just kept putting in sand into, like he did it quite repetitively. So I said he had persistence. And he liked that repetitive action, doing the same thing over and over, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I said was that he had quite well developed, I think, hand-eye coordination because he didn't miss that. He got that sand into that tube by tipping that shovel a little bit to get it in there. So that was, he has to use his eyes and his hands and line it up to get it in.
Yeah.
So you might want to add that to your list. Good hand-eye coordination.
Yep. I'm just gonna have to get another pen. This one's not working.
No worries. Any other thoughts on that, Flair?
Not for that box.
No. Have you thought about the last box? Do you want to go there or not?
Yep.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but we'll keep going if you're interested. So, any ideas on what you think we could do to extend his play skills?
Something like a climbing frame or something where he has to climb up, and then he could use those jumping skills of it, and practice them.
Yeah, so maybe higher.
Yep.
And something with steps or bits you have to go up. Yep, perfect. Excellent. What about in terms of his social skills? He was playing next to someone, really. He wasn't actually joining in with them so much.
Yeah, like a thing where he has to communicate, like a game where he actually has to talk.
Perfect.
To, force him to engage.
Perfect. So something where there's an expectation. We can't force him to actually talk, but we can set it up so that he, if there's an expectation and if you're playing a game that everyone's going to say something or you have to say the next line or something in a game. Yeah. Or a pretend play, role play sort of situation where he takes the role of a person.
Yeah.
Even if it's with trucks in the sandpit or something and he has to make noises or something or, talking with someone else. I think that'd be a really good suggestion. So there are a couple of great things to put down for the future planning. Sounds like you've got a good handle on that already, Flynn, which is fantastic. Yeah, feel you went with that?
Oh, I felt it was alright. It was a little bit challenging at the start, like just to know what to write down, but it was pretty good.
I was going to say it's something you haven't done before. So for a first time, I think you've done really well. So I might just go back to the PowerPoint because we've nearly finished our session. So if you're happy enough with that, we'll next session we're going to do some more observing, and hopefully we'll get to observe some real life children in the near future, and we will talk a lot more about planning for children's play. I know we've just touched on that today and had a quick go at it, but next week we'll dive deeper into that and to using observations, simple observations like we've done today, and what we do next with them. Okay? Thanks for your participation. It's been really good, actually. I'm surprised how well it's worked online. One more thing, can I ask if you could complete that feedback survey that I know you printed out?
Yep.
And maybe scan it back to me by the end of today. That'd be fantastic.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks heaps, Flynn.
Yep. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.